the issues affecting education. We're going to start off with book banning with Dr. Jill Lewis-Spector, who currently chairs the League of Women Voters of Florida Education Action Team, alongside with our local action team. Dr. Lewis-Spector is a professor emerita of literacy education at New Jersey City University and was president of the International Literacy Association. So Jill, I'm handing it off to you.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and I want to thank the League for inviting me to talk today about book banning. I really wanted to talk about that because of the seriousness of the issue and the potential consequences of this intrusion into our public schools. During the 2021-22 school year, 566 books were banned in Florida across 21 school districts. And as of May 2023, an additional 357 were banned across 13 districts. That's a lot of books. So what's being banned? Well, the press talks a lot about books that had some sexually explicit scenes in them. They are being banned. But we also have other books being banned. The Department of Education has advised those who are reviewing materials to also remove any material that includes, quote, unsolicited theories that may lead to student indoctrination, and also to err on the side of caution. So many books have been removed from the shelves are about racism, as well as books about the LGBTQ community and themes in keeping with the Don't Say Gay and the anti-woke bills. I have to point out that the League of Women Voters promotes diversity and non-discrimination. And while we don't believe that every single book should be on the bookshelf in a school library or classroom library, our view is that all children need to have access to books that they can relate to and to history that is truthful and with stories that have characters like themselves. So who's raising objections? How come so many books are being banned? Although library media specialists and others who work in the schools are curating books that are looking for objectionable material, they're getting a lot of help from other people. When HB 1467 was signed into law in March of 2022, it required that parents be given the opportunity to review books that were in the schools. The League believes that no one person should make a decision for the appropriateness of a book for all kids. You don't want your child reading it, that's fine. But is it right for you to say that no kid can read it? We don't think so. There are a few ways that books are being banned. And districts, I have to tell you, districts right now are reviewing their policies for banning books. Because although they may have put a new policy in place last March, new legislation was signed into effect in July that really affected what books needed to be withdrawn from the shelves and what they were supposed to be looking at. So I can tell you what the process looks like right now, but it's probably subject to change. So right now, if you are a parent or a resident of the community, you can raise an objection to a book that's in the school library, and that includes the classroom library, or a book that's on the reading list. So it looks like most districts are going to have a committee that review the books that you find objectionable, and then they will decide whether or not the book is to be removed. In some cases, there will be hearing officers. So there's a young woman who's on my statewide committee who was a hearing officer for her district. And the hearing officer listens to the objection and reviews the book and makes a decision. That person then makes their recommendation to the school board, which up until July, had the final say. And I have to tell you that in Clay County, there was a dad, you may have seen this in the press. He is linked to No Left Turn, and he has filed objections to more than 400 books.
Oh my God.
Okay, so Clay County is very busy reviewing all those objections. There was also a high school teacher in Escambia County, and this I found surprising, because she's responsible for more than 150 book objections. Okay, so we've got individuals helping out these committees that are in place to review books. So we also have Moms for Liberty people in counties objecting to books. And I have to tell you that the end of August, which has passed, but this has not happened yet, districts were supposed to submit to the Department of Education a comprehensive list of all the books that were banned in their district. And that, thank you. That list is going to be circulated among all of the districts. So if you're in Sarasota County, which right now has banned maybe 4 books, you're gonna find that there's a list of 200 books that have been banned throughout the state. And what is to prevent a Moms for Liberty person or anybody else looking at that list and saying, I want those books banned in my county, in Sarasota as well. Nothing to prevent that from happening. So that's the policy that has been in place up until, say, July. But then what happened was this bill got passed that allowed people, and I'll qualify that in a minute, but allowed people to ask the Department of Education for a special magistrate to hear the objection to the book. Now, the special magistrate is going to be paid for by the district. Doesn't matter whether the district agrees with the objector or not. They're going to pay for this special magistrate to hear the case about the book. The magistrate will decide whether all the policies and laws were followed. Okay? They're not going to decide whether the book goes back on the shelf. They're going to make this decision about policies and laws, and then the Department of Education is going to decide whether or not the book should go back on the shelf or not. The only person who can ask for a special magistrate is a parent of a child who's in the school. That's right now. Okay, so this extra thing was, and districts will have to comply with that. We will see what happens with that. I have to tell you that a school board can also decide that a book is objectionable, and without anybody else complaining, they can remove it off the shelf. You also have, and this happened in Sarasota, the director of materials can decide a book is objectionable, and that person can remove it. So you have a lot of moving parts here. Who gets to say whether a book is objectionable, whether it ought to be off? And the consequences of these book bans is pretty terrible. First of all, we know that students' rights are being violated. They should be able to read what they want to read, what they can relate to, and even if there's an objection filed in the school, their parents ought to be able to say, it's okay for my son or daughter to read that book. Students are going to find reading a lot less enjoyable, right? So where's their motivation to read, and how is that going to affect their test scores? Don't know. Marginalized students are being targeted and bullied, and there's very little support for them, including the reading materials. You can't have teachers supporting them, guidance counselors supporting them, nobody. You can't have the pride flags in your room, no stickers, nothing. And they don't even have the books. Okay. If a teacher violates the book ban, they can be fined $5,000 and they can lose their license. awful stuff. And teachers are simply avoiding anything that might be questionable. So they're self-censoring. You have what we call, what Timothy Snyder has referred to as anticipatory compliance, right? They anticipate something will be rejected, found to violate, so I'll get rid of it. This is terrible. And teaching has become a less desirable workplace for teachers. So we have shortages of teachers. We're going to end up with fewer certified teachers. They're going to water down the requirements. They're going to have paraprofessionals becoming the teacher of record for the classroom. They're going to have diminished teacher quality and an increase in teacher shortages. Okay? Our children are losing out. They'll be less competitive. They will not be able to communicate with people who are unlike themselves because they won't have had any information about what these other communities are like. Okay? We've eliminated any possibility of understanding our diversity, and that's unfortunate and has consequences, both social and economic and personal consequences for everybody. Teaching used to be an empowering, stable, and well respected profession. It is no longer. Teachers are really targeted. And so I hope that we can all find ways to support the teachers and to work on fighting these book bans. Thank you.